Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Chaitanya Charitāmrita audio class. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Navishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatyadesh Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome everyone. We are discussing from Chaitanya Charitāmrita Madhya lila. We are on chapter 5 and chapter 5 is entitled The Activities of Sakshi Gopal. So far we have discussed how Lord Chaitanya, while touring to so many places, he came to Remuna, and from there he has come to Sakshi Gopal at Katak. And there, Nityanand Prabhu tells him the story of this place, this deity. And he tells that how there were two Brahmanas, and there was an older one and a younger one. Younger one was serving the older Brahman and being obliged by the services of this younger Brahmana, old Brahman, promises him that I want to give you something in return. And he tells, I'll give you my daughter in marriage. Young Brahman says, no, 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 I have not served you to get something. Kanya dana patrami nahai tomar, Krishna prite kari tomar seva vyavahar. I have served to just please Krishna. I have served you for that. Because Brahmana sevaye Krishna priti bada hoy, tahara santoshe bhakti sampada bada. Because when Brahmanas and the devotees are served, then Krishna becomes very pleased. Anyways, old Brahmana insisted him, and then he says, okay, if you want so, please give witness in front of Gopalji, Sakshi. And then they go back, and old Brahman, he tells the story, what all happened there. And as predicted by the young Brahmana, none of the relatives were ready, none of the family members were ready. And there was a hue and cry, and everybody was against this decision. Somehow the son said, okay, you don't have to tell that, you don't have to tell a lie, you just have to say that, I don't remember what I said. And then this young Brahman comes, and old Brahmana says, I don't remember. Young Brahman says, oh, why are you saying lie? And the son of this old Brahman, he chases the young Brahman away by showing a stick. Young Brahman calls everyone of all the villagers, and he tells the whole story. Then ultimately the young Brahman says, okay, I will call Gopalji. And then that's how we were discussing that this young Brahman, he goes to all the way back to Vrindavan. And there he reaches this place where Gopalji is there. And we heard till verse number 93. Viprabhule yadi ho chaturbhuja murti tabu tomar vakya karuna habe pratiti. So this young Brahman, he prayed to the Lord. He was really a great pure devotee. Lord actually spoke. That means he was such an exalted, pure Vaishnava. Lord spoke to him. And he said Lord said, don't worry, you go, you just call me in the assembly. I'll appear there and I'll give witness. He says, no, 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 that will not solve the problem. Even if you appear in your 400 form, nobody will believe you. Only if you appear in this same form, then only they'll believe. So then Krishna, he says, where have you heard a deity walking? So this young Brahman says, where have we heard a deity speaking? If deity can speak, deity can walk also. Krishna kahe pratima jale kotha na shuni, Vipra bole pratima hoya kaho kehe vani. Where we have not seen, heard anywhere that deity is speaking. You are speaking, that means you can walk also. And then the famous, very, very pivotal verse comes, which establishes the authenticity that deity is non-different than Supreme Lord. प्रतिमा नाही तुम्ही साक्षात ब्रजेंद्र नंदन विप्र लागी कर तुम्ही अकार्य कारण. Oh my Lord, you are not statue, you are directly the son of Nanda Maharaj. Vipralagi, and for the sake of that old Brahmana now, please you do what you have not done so far in the history of creation. Deity has never walked. Please come with me. Vipralagi kara tumi akarya kara. So that's how we have to understand that deity is not different than the Lord. You know, when sometimes we ask this question, is deity in Krishna? Is Krishna in the deity or is Krishna the deity? भगवान मूर्ति में है या भगवान मूर्ति है? So many times even devotees get confused. Some say, oh, Krishna is in the deity. Where in the deity? In the head, in the toe, in the foot, in the belly, where? Actually, the right understanding is Krishna is the deity. Krishna is non-different than the deity form. When a pure devotee calls, the Lord manifests as the deity. He can do anything. He can manifest even in a material form. What is difficult for the Lord to do? So that's how the old Brahman, he actually, Krishna is all knowing. He is the supreme reservoir of all the intelligence, but he is defeated by the argument of his own devotee. That is how Krishna is. Krishna likes to be defeated by his devotees. Otherwise, who can defeat Krishna in argument? He is the origin of all the arguments. He is the origin of all the intelligence. He is the origin of all the word jugglery. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, of the cheats, I'm gambling. Who can defeat Krishna in cheating, in words, in eloquence, in debate? Who can do that? But still, when a devotee comes in front, Krishna gets defeated. He likes to be defeated by his devotees. And there he doesn't feel embarrassed. That's what he does always. When the gopis, they chastise Krishna, that chastisement is more dear than the hymns of the Vedas. When Mata More Shuddha Bhave, Mata More Karoye Taran, he says, Kaviraj Goswami says that when my mother, she chastises me, that is very dear to me. My friends, they climb on my shoulder. Sakha more shuddha bhave skande arohan. Tumi ko na badalok, tumi amasam. Oh, what kind of big person you are. Yesterday only I defeated you. Priya more man kori koroe bhartsan. Sarvveda suti hoy hare moraman. The chastisement of the gopis, they attract Krishna more. So Krishna likes to be defeated by the gopis, by the cowboys, by the love of the mother. So Gopalji smiled. He said, oh Brahmana, just listen to me. I'll agree. I am ready to follow whatever you say. I'll walk behind you. Don't look back. Every day you offer me one ek mana rice. Prabhupada writes in that 97th verse purport, Shastras they want. Arche Vishnu Shalati Gurushu Narmati Vaishnave Jati Buddhi Sa Naraki. If somebody thinks that deity is stone, if somebody thinks that spiritual master is ordinary human being, if somebody thinks, oh, this Vaishnava is a North Indian Vaishnava, or a South Indian, or a Chinese Vaishnava, or African Vaishnava, or a American Vaishnava, external bodily designation, this is a hellish mentality. So Prabhupada writes, because of his advanced devotional position, the younger Brahman knew that although the deity of Gopal appeared to be stone, he was not the stone. Lord was talking to the young Brahman just to test the younger Brahmana about his knowledge of Archa Vigraha. That's how we have to understand this. Although we may be practicing in so many years, even if Krishna is talking to this Brahmana, he is still testing him. Will we Lord be tested for our convictions? Lord tested even Arjuna also in the first canto. It comes. He tested Arjuna by telling, oh Arjuna, Arjuna arrested Ashwatthama, he didn't kill him. He said, oh Arjun, you have given your words to Draupadi that you will bring the head of Ashwatthama. And it is dharma to kill him because he has killed sleeping sons. And now Yudhishthira Maharaj, he also wants. And Bhima also wants. And I also want. Please do whatever is best. He was tested there. Evam parikshata dharma. Pariksha, Lord tested Arjuna in his knowledge of dharma. Chakravarti Thakur writes in that purport that Krishna tests his devotees and the teachers, spiritual teachers also test the disciples. We will be tested for three things in our life, in our process of Krishna consciousness. We will be tested for the philosophy. We think we may know we think that we know the philosophy, but actually there are so many details of the philosophy. If we are not really understanding the essence of philosophy and the details of philosophy, it is so very easy to get deviated and distracted. Parikshit Maharaj was tested for this in the 6th canto, 1st chapter. In the end of the 5th canto, Shukadeva Goswami described all the hellish planets and people are suffering there. In the beginning of the 6th canto, Parikshit Maharaj asked a question. How will these people get liberated? So Dev Goswami said, okay, they can do karma kanda, they'll do prayashchitta. Parikshit Maharaj says, what is this? This is manye kunjara shauchava, this is elephant bathing. It is not so good. They'll do again pap. What is this? Okay, okay, follow jnana. Oh, this is like burning the forest, but the roots are still there. Venu gulma mimanalaha. Oh, then Shukadeva Goswami said, Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayanaha agam dhunvanti kartsnena niharam miva bhaskaraha. Only by unalloyed devotional service, one can be completely cleansed of this mentality. So we have to be really careful. If we are not careful about the process of Krishna consciousness, we'll be deviated and distracted by the things which look alike. Okay, they are harmless. And one of the things which is now very common in devotee communities, taking shelter of astrology and all the other things. We are risking our faith in the process of Krishna consciousness by taking shelter of all these other things. We have not understood the philosophy. If people go to astrologers for solving if devotees go to astrologers for solving their material problems. So we have to understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness really nicely. We'll be tested for it. In the ninth canto, in the end of the ninth canto, Shukdev Goswami, he summarized all the pastimes of Krishna in just 2 verses. Parikshit Maharaj said, I wanted to hear 90 chapters and you have just spoken 2 verses. Then Shukdev Goswami spoke 90 chapters. He was testing Parikshit Maharaj in his eagerness. First he tested philosophy, then eagerness. In the end of the 12th canto, Shukdev Goswami spoke about the glories of Jnana and left. It tested the loyalty of Parikshit Maharaj to the process of bhakti. Parikshit Maharaj continued to practice devotional service only. So therefore, Lord Krishna was testing this young Brahman about his knowledge of deity worship, Archa Vigraha. We will be tested also in our knowledge of Siddhanta. Prabhupada writes in the purport, in the higher sense, since all material elements ultimately culminate in the supreme spiritual entity, nothing is really material. Being omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient, Lord can deal with his devotee in any form without difficulty. By the mercy of the Lord, the devotee knows perfectly well about the Lord's dealings. Indeed, he can talk face to face with the Lord. That's how Lord tests the devotees. But we should understand that Lord can do anything. Vipralagi karatumi akarya karan. We should never have any doubt in this process. We should never divide our faith and do something else, worship somebody else. So then, is there some disturbance? Is some kirtan is going on in the background? Is it audible clearly? Okay, take care. Thank you. So the Lord continued. He said, please do not try to walk, please do not try to see back. Don't turn around, don't try to see me. You just walk ahead of me. And if you turn around, I shall remain stationary in one place. I'll not move. How will I understand you are coming? You will hear my ankle bells. As I'm walking, Lord is literally walking. Can you imagine? Lord is really walking. He is walking all the way from Vrindavan to Katak on his foot. That is how merciful Lord is. That's what he wants to show to the whole world. For my devotee, I can do anything. We will also not walk. We'll go by train. We'll at least do some vehicle ride. Lord is walking behind this devotee. Shows how wonderful Lord is. Vipralagi. It is a question of reputation of Brahmana, his devotee. To protect the reputation of his devotee, to protect the integrity of his devotional service, devotee's devotional service, Lord can do anything. He is ready to undergo all the troubles for the pleasure of the devotees. And we think we are doing so much for the Lord. Lord is really working hard. We have to just see how Lord is working in our life to bring us close to him. So he says, every day you cook ek mana anna. Ek mana means around half a kg. Prabhupada writes 1 kilo of rice. Mana is not half a full 1 kilo. It is just less than 1 kilo. So Prabhupada writes 1 kilo. So he says, cook 1 kilo of rice every day and offer it. I shall eat it and follow behind you. In this way, Gopalji followed. So that was the first meeting, and the next day Gopalji started walking behind. Brahmana begged permission from the Lord. He started walking ahead, and Gopalji is following, and this young Brahmana is just listening the ankle bells. Ching, 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 And that's how he's assured, okay, Lord is coming. Then he walks all the way from Vrindavan to Katak. Actually, Vidyanagar now. Sorry, not Katak, Vidyanagar. The story is Vidyanagar. From Vrindavan to Vidyanagar, he is walking. So as he reaches the outskirts of his village in Vidyanagar, young Brahman starts thinking, okay, now I have come to my village. I shall go home and tell all the people that see, Gopalji has come. Now, he starts thinking, if people didn't see Gopal DT, then what will happen? Let me check. And he thinks, even if Gopalji stays at that place, no problem. I'll call the people to this place. He turns around and he sees the Lord is still there. And then Lord tells, okay, I'm not going. So you bring all the people here. So this Brahmana, he goes, calls all the people of the village. And people, when they come and they saw this huge, beautiful deity standing, they were really struck with wonder. Those who have been to Sakshi Gopal, is such a beautiful deity, smiling deity, very beautiful form, more than 7 feet it seems, huge deity, walked all the way from Vrindavan to Vidyanagar. Vipralagi kar tumi okarya karan. So all the people, they were very happy seeing the beauty of Gopalji and how Lord is merciful that he has walked all the way. Gopala Saundarya dekhi loke anandit pratima chaliya ilakshaniya vismit. When they saw the beauty of Gopalji, they were really struck with wonder. Hayya vismit. Anandit, they became very happy. Actually beautiful, very beautiful smiling face this deity has. Loke Anandit. And Pratima Chalaya. This deity has walked all the way. Nobody can say, okay, he must have carried. No, it is not possible to carry such a huge deity. Alone he was walking, no help. If the DT would have been small, okay, somebody may have doubted. Chota DT उठा के लेके आया होंगे और क्या? But no, such a huge DT walking all the way. So then seeing this elderly Brahmana, he was so very happy, pleased. And he immediately fell like a stick offered obeisances. And of course, the son of this old Brahmana, he could not say anything. In this way, this old Brahmana, he gave his daughter in marriage to this young Brahman. And that's how Sakshi Gopal stayed at Vidyanagar. तबे से दुई विप्र कहिला ईश्वर तुमी दुई जन्मे जन्मे आमार किंकर. Now, at that time, at this moment, it is described that after the marriage was done, the two devotees, the old Brahmana and young Brahmana, they again came to have darshan and take blessings of this Gopalji. That time, Gopalji spoke to them, Janme jane tumi amar kinkar. Both of you are my devotees, life after life. Even if somebody has spent life after life of devotion, Lord will test him. Lord will put the devotees in certain situations to bring the best out of them, to show the world how wonderful my devotees, that he is ready to undergo all the troubles. That's how he says, Vipralagi, Janme Janme, Tumi Dui Janme Janme Amara Kinkar. So Prabhupada writes, like these two Brahmanas of Vidyanagar, there are many devotees who are eternal servants of the Lord. They are Nitya Siddha. They never forget the Lord in any condition. This is the symptom of a Nitya Siddha. There are two types of living entities, Prabhupada writes, Nitya Baddha and Nitya Siddha. So Nitya Siddha is eternally liberated. And Nitya Baddha, he doesn't know when he got entangled in this material world. That's why it is Nitya. Actually, there is nothing like Nitya. Eternally, nobody can be bound. Because There was some point when it started, when it fell down, but the duration is such that nobody knows. Therefore, it is Nitya. As soon as one is liberated, again he becomes Nitya Siddha. Prabhupada writes, by the order of Supreme Lord, the Nitya Siddha remains within the material world like an ordinary man. Only business of Nitya Siddha is to broadcast the glories of the Lord. No other purpose. One time, one reporter asking Prabhupada, Swamiji, at what age you saw Krishna? And Prabhupada was just trying to, uh, give different answers and just not answer this question because it was a really intimate question. How can Prabhupada say when he saw Krishna? And Prabhupada says, so we started Krishna consciousness and practice of bhakti. You can also see Krishna. No, Swamiji, when you saw Krishna, he was trying to avoid this question. Krishna can be seen by anyone, whoever practices. No, Swamiji, you're not understanding my question. When you saw Krishna, Prabhupada ultimately said, when I was 4 years old. And this reporter was really surprised. So a great devotee of the Lord, they are always with the Lord. Prabhupada said there was never a time when I forgot Krishna. I was always with Krishna. So Prabhupada writes, a Nitya Siddha remains in the world like an ordinary man. Only business is to preach. In fact, one time Prabhupada said, actually, Acharya never leaves the material world, never goes back. Because that's the business of Acharya, to preach the glories. And he's happy in this world. This world is bliss for a Nitya Siddha. Because Kaivalyam narakayate tadashpur akash pushpayate durdantendriya kala sarva patali protkhat damstrayate vishwam purna sukhayate vidhiman mahendra adishta kitayate yat karunya kataksh vaibhavatam Shri Gaurange Vastvaha. Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur writes about surrendered devotee, pure devotee. He says, for a pure devotee, liberated soul, Kaivalya, liberation is hellish. Because any position where there is no service, devotee doesn't want. Salokya, Sarishti, Samipya, Sarupya, Ekatva, Apyuta, Diyamanam, na Grihanti. Any liberation, devotee never takes it. Vinamat Sevanam. Seva nahi hai, I don't want. Kaivalyam Narakayate. Tridashpuraka, all these three worlds, they are like the flowers in the sky. It doesn't attract. It is actually unreal for a devotee in the sense that it is temporary. Durdantendriya Kalasar. For him, for a pure devotee, the senses are like snakes with broken fangs. What harm they can do? Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. That's what Prabhupada is writing here. A pure devotee remains in the world. For him, this world is bliss because he sees Krishna everywhere. Sthavara Jangama dekhe, na dekha tara murti, sarvatra hoye ishta nij deva spurti, nijishta deva spurti. He is not seeing moving and non-moving beings. He is seeing Krishna everywhere, seeing Paramatma everywhere. When Bhavanandru, he was initiated, Prabhupada gave him the name Bhavananda. Prabhupada asked, do you know the meaning of Bhavananda? He said, yes, Prabhupada. That person who takes pleasure in Bhava. Prabhupada said, that is Bhavananda. Your name is Bhavananda. Bhavananda, so he said, Prabhupada, I don't know. What is the meaning of Bhavananda? Prabhupada said, Bhavananda means one who takes pleasure in this material world. So Bhavananda started thinking, what type of name is this? Is Prabhupada making fun of me? Prabhupada said, actually, a preacher takes pleasure in this material world. Only pleasure in this material world is preaching Krishna consciousness. And that's why Nitya Siddha always stays. So that's how Prabhupada writes, all Nitya Siddhas within this material world may appear to toil like ordinary men. but they never forget their position as servants of the Lord. So, in this material world, there are many Nitya Siddhas, but and we have a prime example of Srila Prabhupada and current Acharyas, Vartamana Acharya Vrinda, they are pure devotees. So, if a devotee is struggling in this material world, that doesn't mean that they are suffering because of their karma and they are not purified. Just the beginning of bhakti, Adav Shraddha is sufficient to destroy all the karma. Even at the stage of Agyata Sukriti, one starts destroying his karma. So one should not understand that, one should not think that, oh, this person is a pure devotee. Bhakti can be performed in any situation and never gets destroyed. Prabhupada writes, we have to accept the fact that the Nitya Siddhas are completely distinct from Nitya Baddha. Gaurangera Sangigane Nitya Siddha Kori Mane Sejaye Brajendra Shuddha Jai Shri Gaura Mandala Bhumi Jai Bajane Chinta Mani Tara Hoye Braja Bhume Prabhupada is putting this beautiful bhajan by Narottam Das Thakur. Gaurangera Sangigane, all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, please understand, they are pure Nitya Siddhas. Never ever doubt the devotees. In fact, Kaviraj Goswami writes, there are two types of pure devotees. Say Bhakta Gana Hoye, Dvividha Prakar, Parishad Gana Ar, Sadhaka Gana Ar, we heard in the Adi Lila, first chapter. There are two types of pure devotees. Parshad Gana, those who are liberated, eternally liberated, but there are Sadhaka. Those who are sadhakas, they are also liberated in due course of time. Time is separating. So Lord, he continued, Janme Janme Tumi Dui Kinkaro Amar. I am very pleased by the truthfulness of you, of both of you. Now you can ask for a benediction. God is speaking again to these two devotees. Please ask for a benediction. So the Brahmanas, they said, oh my Lord, this benediction shows how devotees, they only think of others. They say, oh my Lord, please remain here in this place so that all the people all over the world will know how merciful you are to your servants. Kaviraj Goswami doesn't mention they ask anything for themselves. You stay here. That will prove to the whole world how merciful Lord is. That he walked all the way from Vrindavan just to show mercy to one personality or two personality. That is how glorious the Lord is. So devotee is always compassionate. So following the request of these two Brahmanas, the Gopalji stayed. And these two Brahmanas, they were engaged in his service. And in this way, this Sakshi Gopal became famous all over the place. People were coming from so many places to visit this, take darshan of this beautiful deity. Eventually, the king of the place, he heard. And he came to see Gopalji. Mandir Korea Raja Seva Chalaila, Sakshi Gopal Boli Tara Nama Khyati Hoila. So in this way, the king made a huge temple for Gopalji, and this Gopalji became famous as Sakshi Gopal. Sakshi Gopal Boli Tara Nama Khyati Hoila. So in this way, the Lord stayed in Vidyanagar for a long, long time. Later, there was a fight between this king, the king of Vidyanagar, and Purushottam Dev. Purushottam Dev was the father of Pratāprudra Maharaj, very great devotee of Lord Jagannath. So there was a fight, and we know the story, we know the background of the story. Why there was a fight? I'll just tell in brief. One time, Pratap Rudra, sorry, this Purushottam Dev, he came to Vidyanagar, and he was in the garden, roaming in the garden of this king. He saw the daughter of this king. She was a very beautiful, very wonderful lady with good qualities. Her name was Padmavati. So he was attracted, and she also saw him. So, they both expressed their desire to marry. So the king, he said, okay, I will send a proposal to you. You go back, I'll send a proposal. Purushottam Dev goes back to Odisha, and then this king of Vidyanagar, he sends a, a proposal. And the day he reaches, this messenger reaches, was the day of Rath Yatra. And this Purushottam Dev was sweeping the road in front of Lord Jagannath. So this messenger was surprised. What type of king is this? He is behaving like a Shudra. We cannot marry our princess to this king. He has no etiquettes. He's Shudra. He goes back and tells the king all the story, and the king says, okay, we reject the proposal. I will not marry our daughter to you. You are a Shudra. Prataprudra Maharaj said, this is an offense. This is offense to Lord Jagannath. And he waged a war against Purushottam Dev, against this king of Vidyanagar. And there is a great battle, and ultimately, actually, before the battle began, there was a deal made. Purushottam Dev said, I challenge you to fight, and if I get defeated, I will place the Lord, you can, place Lord Jagannath behind your Ganesh deity. This king of Vidyanagar was a worshipper of Ganesh. And the king of Vidyanagar said, if I get defeated, you can place Lord Ganesha behind Jagannathji. And there was a huge battle. And ultimately, Purushottam Dev, he started getting defeated. He prayed intensely to Lord Jagannath. He said, what is happening, oh Lord Jagannath? I am fighting for you, and I am getting defeated. Please help me. Your reputation is on stake. Lord Jagannath spoke to him. Don't worry, O king. You go next day, tomorrow morning, we'll help you. Next day morning, this king's, so this Purushottam Dev is on the way to fight. But before the army of Purushottam Dev, two, people, warriors riding on the horses, they were seen. And one was riding on a black horse, other was riding on a white horse. So these two people, they stopped at a place. There was this old lady, she was selling buttermilk. So they said, we are thirsty, can you give buttermilk? She said, okay, but you have to pay. They said, we don't have anything. We are the soldiers of the king. He's coming in from behind. You just ask him, he'll pay. She says, how will I understand? How will, why the king will believe me? One of the soldiers, he was blackish in complexion, and he gave the ring and said, you please show this ring to the king, and the king will give you whatever money needed. They go ahead, and then there was an intense battle. And when the king comes, Purushottam Dev comes with his army, this lady stops him. Oh, please wait, your two soldiers, they have come, they have taken all my buttermilk. I am sustaining only by selling buttermilk. Please, they have not paid also. So the king said, okay, who are they? So she said, there was one person riding a white horse, and other was riding a black horse. One was whitish in complexion, other was blackish in complexion. The blackish one was wearing a yellow dhoti, and the white person was wearing a blue dhoti. They are beautiful looking. She explains the whole thing. And then she shows the ring. They have given me this ring. When Purushottam Dev sees this ring, he was really amazed. He was overwhelmed. This is the ring of Lord Jagannath. So he gave lots of treasure. Actually, he made this lady the owner of a village. And he gave the name of the village on this lady's name, Manikyapatnam. So then in this battle, Purushottam Dev saw two more soldiers fighting fiercely and they defeated everyone. So as the deal was done, Purushottam Dev carried 3 deities from Vidyanagar. The deity of Ganeshji, the deity of Sakshi Gopal, and the deity of which is there, deity is there in Gambhira. I'm forgetting the name. Anyone remembers that deity? What was the deity? The Gambhira? Okay, anyways, I forgot the name. So these 3 deities, he brought. And the Ganeshji deity you still see behind Lord Jagannath. And the Sakshi Gopal. Okay, yes, Radha Kant. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Radha Kant deity is there still. And that Radha Kant deity, Ganeshji, and Sakshi Gopal. These 3 deities were brought. So he placed the deity of Gopalji on a beautiful throne. He brought a Ratna Simhasan also from Vidyanagar. He called it, there was a Manikya Simhasan. Purushottam Deva se Bhakta Bada Arya Gopala Charane Mage Chalamura Rajya. Actually, he prayed. He didn't just, out of force, he brought the deity. He begged Sakshi Gopal, can you please come with me? After defeating the king, he begged Gopalji, can you please come with me to my kingdom? And with such devotion, this Purushottam Dev prayed to Sakshi Gopal. Gopalji agreed. Tara Bhakti Vashe Gopal Tare Agya Dila Gopal Loya Se Kotake Aila. So Lord gave him permission. He was such a great devotee. How can you move the deity without the permission of the deity? He prayed to the Lord, and Gopalji, he agreed. And actually, Kaviraj Goswami says, Tara Bhakti Vashe. He was obliged by the devotion of Purushottam Dev. And therefore, Purushottam Dev brought this Gopalji deity from Vidyanagar to Katak. So earlier the deity was worshipped at Katak. And actually before that, it was placed in the temple of Jagannathji. But there was some kalaha. We heard about that also in the past. That when the deity was placed in the temple of Jagannathji, there was a prema kalaha. Kaviraj Goswami writes about that in the previous chapters, one of that. There was a prema kalaha. Jagannathji came in the dream of Purushottam Dev and told that, hey, this deity is eating my bhoga. You shift him to some other place. 2 lords are fighting. That is a prem kala. So then Purushottam Dev, he shifted the deities to Katak. And there, this deity was being worshipped very nicely. One day, the wife, the queen, now, and there's another story how, this Purushottam Dev brought the daughter, arrested, basically took the daughter of the king by force, and he said, I will marry this lady to a Shudra, out of anger. So he knew, actually, he wanted to marry her, but out of anger, he said, okay. He told minister, you find a Shudra boy for this girl and get her married. But this minister, he was also, knowing that he is doing in anger all this. He loves this Padmavati. And Padmavati was very sad. So this minister took Padmavati to his house and kept her, and she was taken care nicely by the wife of this minister. 1 year passed by. And next year came when Rath Yatra was there. Again, as per the custom, Purushottam Dev was sweeping the Ratha, sweeping the road in front of the Ratha. Minister said, "Oh king, I have found a Shudra boy for this Padmavati." Purushottam Dev said, "Do whatever you want. Why are you telling me?" Purushottam Dev, this minister said, "Sir, actually you are the boy. Because you are sweeping the road now, you are Shudra." So seeing the intelligence of this minister, Purushottam Dev became very happy, and ultimately they were married. So one day, this queen, and she was taking darshan of Gopalji. She thought that I have a very valuable pearl earring, and I want to offer it to Gopalji. But how will I offer to Gopalji? Gopalji doesn't have a hole in his nose. How will I put the pearl there? उस समय शायद टैग वैग नहीं होता था कैसे चिपकाएंगे? So she was thinking, hole नहीं है अभी, कैसे देंगे? So that night, Lord Gopalji came in the dream of this queen, and he said, "Oh queen, don't worry. When I was small, my mother had made a hole in my nose, and that hole is still there. You can place that pearl earring, nose ring. Sorry, not earring, nose ring." So queen had a nose ring, and she wanted to offer this nose ring to Gopalji. So Gopalji said, "You can place that nose ring with that pearl in my nose. That hole is still there." So when the queen, she saw that dream, she was so very ecstatic. Next day morning, she told Purushottam Dev. They both went and they saw actually the hole was there. So they set the pearl in the nose of Gopalji. So that's how this deity, it was being worshipped at Katak. So Raj Goswami continues. That's how this Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the narration of Gopalji, and he and all the devotees, they became very pleased hearing from Nityanand Prabhu. गोपालेर आगे अबे प्रभुर हैया स्थिति भक्तगण देखे ये ना दुहे एक मूर्ति. So next day morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was standing in front of Gopalji, taking beautiful darshan of this beautiful deity, and the devotees are seeing, oh, they are seeing Mahaprabhu and Gopalji not different, actually same as the Lord. दुहे एक वर्ण दुहे प्रकांड शरीर दुहे रक्तांबर दुहे स्वभाव गंभीर. दुहे एक वर्ण, golden complexion, same complexion. Duhe prakanda sharir, both had gigantic bodies, huge deity. Duhe raktambar, that day it seems the deity was wearing a saffron cloth. Mahaprabhu was also saffron cloth. Deity was also saffron. Swabhava gambhir, and they were very grave. Maha tejomay duhe kamala nayan, duhar bhavavesh duhe chandra vadan. And the devotees, they saw that both Mahaprabhu and Gopal, they were brilliant. Their eyes were like lotuses. Kamala Nayan, effulgent bodies, and Duher Bhavavesh, they both were absorbed in ecstasy. Gopalji was absorbed in, taking darshan of the devotees of the Lord. He's in ecstasy. Lord is in ecstasy when he sees the devotees of the Lord dancing, singing. And Mahaprabhu is in ecstasy, taking darshan of Lord Gopalji, Chandra Vadan. So in this way, as Mahaprabhu is taking darshan of Gopalji, Nityanand Prabhu and all the devotees, they are, remarking, exchanging glances. See, you saw, just like we sometimes say, You saw this. That's what devotees were saying. So after telling all that, Kaviraj Goswami continues, Mahaprabhu passed that night in that temple. Next day morning, he saw the Mangalarti and then he started his journey for Jagannath Puri. And then Kaviraj Goswami says, Vrindavan Das Thakur has explained the journey of Mahaprabhu in great detail. Prabhupada writes, in his book Chaitanya Bhagavat, Antya Khanda, Vrindavan Das Thakur has very nicely described the Lord's journey en route to Kataka. So from Kataka, he went to a place called Balakati Chati. From there, he went to the city of Bhubaneswar. And in the city of Bhubaneswar, he took the darshan of Lord Shiva. The beautiful this temple is there. And the deity of Lingaraj, beautiful big temple of Lord Shiva. So Prabhupada writes in the purport the story of this deity, of this Lingaraj temple. He says in Skanda Puran, there is a story which comes that there was a king named Kashiraj and he wanted to fight with Lord Krishna. So he could not fight alone. He went and took shelter of Lord Shiva. He worshipped Lord Shiva, prayed to him, did lots of tapasya. Lord Shiva was pleased. He is Ashutosh. And this Kashira said, you have to fight on my behalf and help me win over Lord Krishna. Lord Shiva, although he knew nobody can defeat Lord Krishna, but he was obliged and he wanted to show to the whole world that how Krishna is great. So Lord Shiva was fighting with Krishna. And this Kashiraj, he was not only defeated, he was killed also. He was killed by Krishna. And Lord Shiva, he left Kashiraj. That's how, these stories are classic stories which shows how if Krishna desires, nothing can happen. And if nobody can defeat. If Krishna desires that if this person has to be defeated, nobody can win over. And Lord Shiva knows this mood of Krishna, Lord Krishna. So therefore, he always assists Lord Krishna in his pastimes. So Lord Shiva, he also left. There was an intense battle. Even Pashupatastra was defeated by the weapon of the Lord. And ultimately, Lord Shiva, again a pastime, he became conscious of his mistake in helping Kashiraj. He came and begged forgiveness from Krishna as a benediction. Lord Krishna, he gave Lord Shiva a beautiful place to stay, and that is called as Ekamra Kanan. Kanan means forest. So Ekamra, there was one big mango tree, huge mango tree. Lord Shiva was staying under that mango tree. That's why it is called as Ekamra Kanan. And that's how this temple of Lord Shiva was built. That is the story of Lingaraj temple. So then the story continues. Nityanand Prabhu and all the devotees now, they go ahead. They are walking along with Lord Chaitanya and they come to a place which is called as Dandabhanga Nadi. So what happened there, we will discuss next time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions anybody has? I'll just unmute if anybody has any question. Just a minute. Okay, if anybody has any questions, they can ask or we'll end the class. Okay, so there are no questions, it seems. We'll end here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय। श्री कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी की जय।